Hey folks, welcome to Drive Across Texas. I'm in Waco, Texas, McLennan County at Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum with the Marketing and Development Specialist, Miss Christine Rothenbush. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to allow us to kind of
no problem.
bombard you and get the scoop on the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum. So, how long have you been here working?
Well, I've been here 11 years now. The museum's been here since 1968. So we've been in the state for a while representing the Texas Rangers.
That's amazing. So tell the viewers out there what the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum, what is it? What's it all about?
Well, we're the Texas Ranger law enforcement team, not the baseball.
There you go.
So there you go. But no, when you come here, you're going to learn about their almost 200 years of history. From when they were founded in 1823, protecting early settlers from Indian raids, mapping out the land, doing different duties like that. They evolve into a police force during Prohibition, the gangster era. You think of Bonnie and Clyde and all those characters. And then today what they are is more of a kind of an elite investigative force. And still working here. We have a ranger company that's stationed here, which is excellent because we get to see history being made while we tell the history at the museum. So when the visitors come, they get to learn about that rich history and what the Rangers do today, what they did in the past, and really get to understand their state and their history a little bit better.
Well, that's great. You know, it's something here at Drive Across Texas. Obviously, we're crazy about this great state of Texas. So,
of course.
You know, I was reading a deal coming in, I guess, in the late 1800s that people were cutting barbed wire fences.
Yes.
People were putting up and the big cattle operations were...
The range wars.
Yes, yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. I know you've got some history on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, one famous ranger during that time, his name was Ira Ayton, and he was kind of doing undercover work, right? He was looking for those fence cutters, and he was getting bored waiting around. So he wrote one of his commanders and said, I have a great idea to get these fence cutters. I'm going to build a boom, which we call today a bomb.
A bomb, yeah.
Right? So he's going to build this boom, and he's going to put a shotgun under the ground, point it at some dynamite, and when the fence gets cut, they'll release the trigger, and out goes the boom.
Wow.
Well, the commanding officer said, we don't want kids getting hurt. No, don't do that. You know what, we'll reassign you. So he got to leave his undercover work when he was, it was a good, good little story for him. But
you know, that's maybe a tall Texas tale. Maybe he was doing that because he really didn't want that job anymore.
Right, yeah, I think it's a creative solution.
Absolutely, I mean, just using his old noodle back in the day.
Right.
I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna have a boom.
Right, exactly, yeah. So those are the kind of little stories that you'll get to learn and see.
Well, that's great. I've got 2 questions for you. Actually, got 3 questions for you. First and foremost, talking about those stories, what is your favorite story out of here that you get to tell people or you hear?
One of my favorite stories besides that one is that we actually have Clyde Barrow's pocket watch. See, he was arrested here in Waco and held in McLennan County Jail, which is down the road, so you can actually go see it. And he was going to be visited by Bonnie. Now, of course, women were so good back in the day. We just didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. And y'all still don't.
Oh, we still don't. Yeah.
Let me clarify that.
So she was able to, kind of slip a pistol to him, right? She wasn't frisked or anything. And he used that pistol to make his great escape from the Waco jail. But he was in such a rush to leave that he forgot to go to the impound lot and get his pocket watch. So we actually have that on display, which is kind of fun little thing to see.
I want to check that out. Yeah, I definitely do. Okay, you have hundreds of exhibits in here. I mean, I see the Colt revolver, basically a study from the 1840s to the early 1900s, all different types of stuff. So I've got to ask you, what is your favorite exhibit?
One of my favorites has got to be the Bowie knife that we just got. So everyone knows David Bowie, right? Fought at the Alamo, real famous. Well, his brother, Resin, went and gave presentation knives to different members that had worked with his brother after his death as, kind of thank you gifts. And he gave one to Captain William Lacey and the Rangers, and we have that. You can see the engraving. I mean, it's just a beautiful, magnificent piece. And there's only a handful that even survive or are known about. And so that's probably one of our biggest treasures that we have.
We're going to check that out also. Now, explain to the viewers and myself, for my lack of education, they probably already know, but now all the artifacts in here are owned by the families that donate this, right? How is it? Am I wrong by saying that? I mean, who owns all this stuff?
Well, most of it is donated to the museum, and then when it is, it becomes the property of Texas. So the citizens are the ones that own it. And a few things are on loan, but usually what happens is a ranger, when he retires, will give us a lot of his paperwork from his case files, or maybe his service weapon or things like that that he wants, to keep here, or she wants to keep here. And so we'll get a lot of stuff like that, and which is wonderful because, I mean, think about, if we had a date planner for Frank Hamer when he was going after Bonnie and Clyde, how interesting would that be to read today, right?
Yes.
So if they give us that information today, you might say, well, that's kind of boring. He just served 2 years ago. But think about in 200 years, how interesting that would be. So we do encourage those donations, and so that's what a lot of it is.
Christy, you mentioned earlier in our interview that this was established and built in 1968, and I'm curious who all's involved with it, how did it get started, who started it, so I'm sure that you got the information on that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, in 1964, there was a group of citizens that said, okay, there's this thing coming into Waco called I-35. You might have heard of it.
Yeah.
We want something that's going to attract people to stop here in this city. So they went to the state and started talking with them. And they got permission to be the official museum for the Texas Rangers. So we're a partnership between the state of Texas and the city of Waco. And we, of course, work with the Texas Rangers and Department of Public Safety in that partnership. So it's kind of like we have 3 people kind of involved in the museum, but it's great and it's worked really well for us.
That's great. Do you have like a board of regents or board members? Or?
Yes, we do. We have members from all over the state that serve on our board as an advisory board, helping with fundraising, helping with recommendations to the city council on what this great museum could become.
If somebody was out of state or thousands of miles away from you, how would they look you up on the great interweb?
Well, our web address is real easy. It's texasranger.org. And so you can go there and you can read, we have over 200 pages of content, from history articles and information if you want to learn everything that there is to learn, recommendations on books for further reading, all sorts of great content. But then you can also learn about our hours, visitation, all that information there as well.
Well, that's great. Now, I know there's a fee to come in. Can you explain to everybody, I think it's $8 for an adult? $8
for an adult, $7 for senior and military. Law enforcement gets a special rate as well. $4 for children, so it's pretty affordable, economic kind of vacation that you could take. And Waco has a lot to do. A lot of people don't realize that there's tons of museums and parks and different things. So if you want ideas on how to make it a weekend getaway, we can always help you with that too.
Well, that's great. I tell you what, Christine, thank you once again for the opportunity to sit down here and talk to you. I look forward to looking around here. Folks, be sure to go to their website, www.texasranger.org, and schedule a trip down here. It'll be very, very educational and can show you a little bit of that Texas pride, why we're so prideful and boastful about our great state. Anyway, thanks again, and y'all remember, that baby's coming from a Texan.